Good work dealing with that spy. You please, Stalin. Make sure you never disappoint him. Now, I have a special task for you. We are amassing for our attack on Berlin. The Allies are aware of this, so we are going to, how do they say, throw them a bone? I want you to create a diversion. Occupy their troops until we can drop soldiers behind their lines. Once the troops are in, use the soldiers to cut off Allied communications. With no early warning. We can take Berlin by surprise.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Comrade, affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction options. Building.
Yes, affirmative. Acknowledged.
Construction complete. New construction options. Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Construction complete. New construction options. Building. Construction complete. New construction options. Building. Construction complete. Building.
Yes, affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Affirmative. Yes, acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete. New construction options. Building.
Comrade. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
New construction options. Building. Building. Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Waiting Waiting order. Comrade? Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Construction options. Building. Building.
Reporting. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledge. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Construction
Acknowledge.
complete. Construction options.
Vehicle affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. 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 Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, affirmative. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Affirmative. Affirmative. Comrade? Affirmative. 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 Comrade? Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Spy plane ready.
Acknowledged.
Select target.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Comrade. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Waiting order.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Comrade? Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Awaiting or acknowledged. Acknowledged. Reporting. Waiting order. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Preparing. Building. Unit ready. Building.
Vehicle acknowledged.
Spy plane ready. Unit prepared. Select target.
Comrade, affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Waiting order. Acknowledged. Comrade, affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Affirmative. 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 Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Acknowledge.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready. Building. Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledge. 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 Acknowledge.
Spy plane ready. Unit
Acknowledge.
ready.
Acknowledge.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Building. Unit
Yes,
lost.
sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Select target.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Reporting.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Unit
Reporting.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
Building.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Awaiting order. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle
Unit
report.
lost.
Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Spy plane
Affirmative.
ready. Select target. Building.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged.
Building. Spy plane ready.
Acknowledged. 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 Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. 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 Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Select target. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Training. Unit ready. Training. Unit ready. Training. Unit lost. Unit ready. Unit lost. Unit
Reporting.
ready.
Very well. Affirmative. Waiting order. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Building.
Waiting acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Ready and waiting.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Spy plane ready.
Affirmative. 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 Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Awaiting orders. Very well.
Select target. Select target. Reinforcements have arrived.
Ready and wait. Agreed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agreed. Yes, sir. Reporting. Reporting. Affirmative. Very well. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agreed. Comrade, reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative. Waiting orders. Very well. Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost. Silos needed. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Spy plane ready.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit
Vehicle
ready.
report. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. 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 Awaiting orders. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building. Construction complete. Mission accomplished.